Welcome to People, Places, and Things, a travel podcast that brings you captivating stories, fascinating people, and unforgettable destinations from all around the world. I'm your host, Ryan Lowe. Let's dive into this journey together. On today's episode, we have Conor Corich from Ohio. Welcome, Conor.
Thank you.
So you're in Thailand right now, man, but I really want to talk about your past and your upbringing. How was growing up in Ohio?
Yeah, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio originally. Um, it's funny because a lot of people in the States, when they hear that I'm from Ohio, I get a lot of responses like, "Oh man, like I'm so sorry," and I'm like, "What?" Like people be hating on the Midwest for no reason, really. But including myself, like you grow up in the Midwest with kind of this like negative outlook on it, like, "Oh, like I hate where I'm from," or like I hate it here. Because it's very much just like suburban farmland type stuff. But I grew up closer to the city, and my brother, when he took me on a road trip when I was about 15, took me on a big road trip out west to Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, and it kind of gave me a different perspective on Ohio. And now I hold Cincinnati very near and dear to my heart, and there's a lot of really cool stuff to the city and the Midwest as a whole. Some of the best rock climbing in the world is just down in Kentucky, and yeah, a lot of people be sleeping on it, but I think there's always beauty and stuff to appreciate no matter where you are in the world.
No, I wholeheartedly agree with that, man. And every state has its gems and uh, and something to explore and something you shouldn't overlook. So every place has its
100%.
places have more, but um,
Yeah, or something that might be a little bit more in your face. You know.
exactly, or more up your alley, conducive to the lifestyle you lead, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you say you went on a road trip out west. Well, we met in Yellowstone while working at the Lake Hotel in 2016 in Yellowstone National Park. So
Mm-hmm.
moving there was a pivotal point in my life. The rugged landscape, wildlife, and the people that had such open minds that moved there and were working seasonally. It just opened my eyes and really, really changed my life. What does Yellowstone mean to you? And talk about your experience there.
Yellowstone is a very pivotal, iconic point in my life, and to this day, I still talk about it on a damn near daily basis. um, yeah, that road trip my brother took me on was a big. It really opened my eyes to how accessible traveling actually is, and that's pretty much the reason I ended up working in Yellowstone was because of that road trip. I was working as a catalog designer at the time for this is after the road trip. I was around 18 years old, 19, something like that. And I was ready to have that be my career. And long story short, wasn't a fan of the owner of the company. And I'd much rather take a pay cut and be happy as opposed to make more money and be stressed and not be able to live my life. And that's when I remembered um, Yellowstone, and I knew somebody's brother worked at Yellowstone, so I applied, thinking that it was going to be impossible to get a job there because I thought everyone would want to work in a national park. Turns out it's the opposite, and they literally hire anyone. They hired me and my best friend Max within 24 hours of applying. They are desperate for workers, as you know. Um, but yeah, no, Yellowstone was incredible. It was definitely another pivotal point in my life. Basically, since 2016, that was also the first time I left the country. It was right before I went to Yellowstone, and yeah, it was kind of like the first domino for me traveling. I have lifelong friends there, and then I ended up doing another season in 2018. I mean, it's just hard to resist living and working in some of the most beautiful places in the world.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I think it changed both of our lives for the better. And I want that for other people. So uh, in the description below, I will leave some links to seasonal where you can apply to seasonal jobs, such as Cool Works and some other places. So I'll leave that in concessionaires as well. So I'll leave that below so people can have access to that because I want other people to experience the same thing I did and it kind of move you in the way that it moved me and in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah, to speak on that, one of my friends in Ohio, when I was um, back in Ohio for about 6 months, I was working at a restaurant, and this girl that I worked with, she had a lot of people in her life kind of like bringing her down, which was really bizarre because she was an incredible human being. But long story short, I kept telling her, I'm like, yo, dude, like, screw those people. Don't listen to them. I'm like, you should go out and like travel, go do whatever you want to do. Like, dude, you can go work at Yellowstone. Like, I guarantee you'll get a job. And then, yeah, a couple months after I left Ohio, she texted me and she was like, yo, I just applied to work at Yellowstone. I leave in a week. Blah blah blah. She ended up working out in Yellowstone for like 4 months, and it was the same deal. Like it was the first kind of domino for her, and then she started traveling the world. She worked in New Zealand, Australia, and now I just found out she's actually in Thailand. So hopefully I'll get to see her in the next month or so.
Wow, man, that's incredible how you can change somebody's life with just a few words, man. Just a conversation can literally change the course of somebody's life. Um, I know Sean and Jessica were that for me as well. They were the reason I went to Vietnam and Thailand. I had no plans to do that before. I just had plans to travel around the U.S., honestly. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, so huge, and to hear that she's in Thailand now, like, and then I mean you're in Thailand, so it just matches up, and you know it's just so awesome the trajectory of people that end up working seasonally and learning that they can travel and do some of these things.
Yeah, big time.
So after Yellowstone, after the contract was done, you did a big road trip. Um, Talk about that road trip. Where did you go after leaving Yellowstone?
After Yellowstone 2016, me and our good friend Norman, motherfucking Hall, did a month-long road trip in his 1999 Toyota Camry with over 420,000 miles on it. And we skyrocketed up straight from Yellowstone up through Montana into Canada. Um, and that's where huge bucket list. Also, just 2016 in general was a year of bucket list for me because it wasn't like intentional. I just kind of put myself in a space where I started crossing things off since stuff that I wanted to do since I was like a kid. And my number one bucket list item since I was really really young was see the Northern Lights. And me and Norman saw them when we were in sleeping in the car in Banff National Park because I didn't even think about like being able to see the Northern Lights in Canada, and we saw them by accident, and it was incredible. But from there, we mobbed around the parks in Canada for a bit, and then we started having car troubles. So we beelined across Canada into Washington, got our car fixed, and while it was at the shop, we were at some random mall in small town in Washington, and we were just just hanging out on our phones, passing time, and then we ran into somebody that we had just worked with at Yellowstone, this girl Vanessa, and we just happened to be in her hometown, and she was there seeing her family before she went to wherever she was going after working at Yellowstone. But yeah, from there we just basically road trip down the coast, the West Coast. Went through Oregon. We at one point we were driving around. We were hitting up a lot of national parks, of course. Um, and at one point we were just kind of like not necessarily bored, but we were both big into exploring like abandoned stuff. So then we were just like, yo, let's screw it. Let's look up some abandoned thing. Like try to find some cool stuff to explore. and we found some random, houses on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. But the one that was really interesting was Antelope, Oregon, which is a tiny, tiny town of like maybe 40 people in the middle of nowhere, Oregon. And we drove out there and explored this little town. And fast forward a couple years, I learned about this documentary called Wild Wild Country. It's either county or country, but it's about a quote unquote cult in the 70s, who bought like 80,000 acres of land next to this town. And the story is just absolutely insane. And so it was really bizarre to connect those dots of visiting that town and then seeing this documentary. And yeah, and then went through California, and my friend Norman dropped me off at my mom's house and outside San Diego, and then I went off to Asia.
Wow, man, dude. I've seen that documentary as well, and it's mind blowing. The way
So good. It's
the
so good.
it's so good. He moved from India, the Osho. He moved from India and had this huge following, but the people there hated him. The locals in India hated him, and he was getting death threats constantly. So he was just like, "We got to go to the United States. We got to get the hell out of here." And just what ensued afterwards was just mind-boggling. How they like poisoned people, brought in homeless to vote, uh, all kind of stuff. Like it's just whoever hasn't checked out that documentary, I think it's still on Netflix. It's called Wild Wild Country.
Yeah,
You should definitely check it out.
so good.
So good. So you left to Thailand afterwards, or I don't know if you went to Thailand first, but you talk about your love for Thailand and then about your first trip there.
Yeah, my first trip was in 2016. I think it was around like February, March that year before I went to Yellowstone. Um, and it was late 2015. I remember being at an IHOP at like 3 a.m. with one of my best friends, Max. We were in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we were at this IHOP, and I was texting one of my childhood best friends, Joe, who had left Ohio when we were in high school, and I had seen him like bouncing around the world. He was doing a bunch of international trips, and we would always stay in touch on Facebook and stuff over the years. I was like, "Oh man, like you're traveling a bunch. Like, what's going on, dude? Like, what are you doing?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, like I'm going back to Thailand in March. You should come." And I remember reading that, and I was like trying to think of a reason why I wouldn't go. I just like couldn't come up with like a valid excuse. I just like sat there quiet for a second, and I look up at my friend Max, and I was like, "I think I'm gonna go to Thailand." He was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to Thailand, dude." And so yeah, and then my friend Max ended up coming too, and yeah, we went out to Thailand for like 2 weeks. My friend Joe had been there before, so it was cool. Like, it made it a lot easier leaving to a new country with somebody who was like familiar with it, because that's like the number one thing that people are very worried about is just the unfamiliarity of like leaving and going to a new country for the first time, especially if like you're alone. So that made it easier. And then it's like the second you get to Thailand, you just it just all your worries kind of go away. It's like it's a great introductory, for international travelers, at least for English speakers, um, because it's so safe getting around. It's a tourist country, so it's like getting around and seeing all the different culture and experience. Everything is super easy. Um, but we were here for like 2 weeks, and we did the classic Southeast Asia Thailand trip where you see the big city, you island hop, and you go to the north. So that's what we did, and it was a blast. But it honestly wasn't my ideal international trip because when we were, granted, this is 8 years ago, so we were in our early 20s. and we were island hopping at one point. One night, we literally were just bar hopping, and halfway through the night, I just left. I just like didn't say anything to my friends. I just walked out because I got super butthurt because I spent, thousands of dollars traveling across the world to do the same stuff I can do back home. Like this is so like a bar is a bar, no matter where you are in the world. And don't
Exactly.
get me wrong, I enjoy bars. You can have a good time. There's some cool bars out there, but at the same time, I'm like, I didn't travel to Thailand to go to a bar. So I got really butthurt, um, and I was like, all right, well, like the next time, like I want to come back to Thailand and really like experience it. The what I imagine it would be like when I was like a kid, and then so I ended up working for my friend in Guam, and so I was just on this side of the world at that point in my life. So it was really easy for me to travel to Asia as opposed to coming from the States. And yeah, after my first solo trip to Thailand, I made it. I made an effort to like almost exclusively hang out with Thai people, and from there it was just fell in love with it. And yeah, like the food's amazing, people are so friendly, the culture is very old, which is a big um, interest of me. Just like growing up watching like the History Channel and stuff, like you don't have that kind of age in America, that kind of history. So like one of my favorite places in Thailand is Sukhothai, which is the original capital of Thailand, and it's just a giant ancient city ruins that you can freely walk around, which is like childhood dream comes true. Like it's mind blowing to me that you have access to that. And yeah, I don't know. I just like kept coming back. I have friends here, and it just made it easier to come back. And there's just always more to see here. And yeah, it's just like been a goal of mine to figure out setting up like roots here and kind of have a home base here and have a home base in the States. So then that way I can more easily explore both both sides of the world.
No, that makes a lot of sense, man. And and you do have like you're building something unique over there. What talk about the food. Talk about some of your favorite foods over there and your favorite dish.
My favorite Thai dish is khao soi. It's a northern Thai um, dish, kind of like almost like a curry soup. The first time I had it 3 times in one day. Like it was so good. Like I literally had it like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And yeah, it's kind of like a yellow curry based soup with egg noodles and traditionally served with like a chicken thigh or chicken bone, chicken wing, and it's just so good. It's so good. But you can get it all over Thailand, of course. Um, Pad Thai is a classic, but Pad Thai is the national dish. But a lot of people don't know that it is a Chinese dish. It's not even from Thailand. I can't remember how they adopted it, but at one point the Thai government made it the national dish because they wanted to push Thai cuisine and for like tourists to help boost the economy and stuff like that. So that's why they also like uh, helped get a lot of Thai people in other countries. And I think Vietnam did something similar as well. So that's why in America you see literally thousands and thousands of Thai restaurants because the Thai government did that consciously so people will know what Thailand is and know what Thai food is and come to Thai, so it's in rotation, in conversation, in your thoughts and all that stuff. So it's really interesting when I learned that about like pad Thai and um, Thai culture, like the Thai food culture. I was like, oh damn, that's genius. I never knew about that. I don't know, some other stuff. Yeah, pad Thai is great. That's one of my go-tos. Ladna is another really good one. It's kind of like almost like a thick, almost like a gravy. noodle dish, usually with pork, some veggies. Um, yeah, I like the sweeter dishes. Some people don't like it. A lot of my Thai friends like hate cow soy because it is on the sweeter side. I absolutely love it. And then mango sticky rice is a classic one. It's funny because like I sometimes I'll talk about Thai food to a lot of people thinking that everyone's like so used to it when in reality like there's a lot of people in the States who like are very unfamiliar with Thai food. And I forget that sometimes because I worked in Thai restaurants in America. I go to Thailand almost on a yearly basis. I have a ton of Thai friends that I talk to on a daily basis. So I'm like numb to the fact that not everyone has the same perspective on like Thai cuisine as myself. But the cuisine as a whole is very like rich and has a lot of bold flavors and it's delicious and it's really cheap to get uh, the best food in the world over here.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And that speaks to like the Midwest and the South for sure. That no diversity of cuisine. Honestly, a lot of fried food. And like Midwest, a lot of meat and potatoes. A lot of not a ton of spice. And not for
The cheese.
Yeah, and cheese exactly with Midwest. Yeah, I was missing that for sure. But I dated a girl from Thailand for 2 years, and that was practically my entire diet for 2 years. It was here in the States in Utah, but there's 1 million Thai restaurants in Utah. So
Hmm.
I share your love for that food, and and I love it as well, and think and I can't wait to get back to Thailand someday. So and I think that's going to happen fairly soon. So I love Asia, and I'll be back in the spring, but definitely want to get back and explore some of the islands. But speaking on the islands, what are some of your favorite islands, and what is the culture like there? Is it different from mainland?
Yeah, so I've spent a lot of time on islands in recent years. I've learned that I am not an islander because I learned that in Guam when I lived in Guam. For those who don't know, Guam is in Micronesia, which is near the Philippines, and it is an American territory. Tiny, tiny island. It's got a population of about 150,000. But it's just basically one island. It takes 3 hours to drive around the entire island, and that's with stopping at the tourist spots. Um, so I learned there that yeah, it like all these different islands in Southeast Asia and Micronesia are gorgeous, but in terms of living there, like long term, no, thank you. I'm a mainlander through and through, and it's funny because I've also noticed I feel like when at least Americans, when they think of like when they hear like islanders or like island life, they think of pretty much Hawaii and Jamaica and kind of those cultures are what they imagine all island life is like. And it is pretty similar in a lot of like there's a lot of aspects that people share with those cultures. The one being Rastafarian and Rasta music, reggae music. I've noticed that pretty much every island that I've ever been to have like they're really big into weed and they're really big into reggae music. And that holds true in Asia too. Like even like the local like Thai people living on these islands like Koh Samui, Koh Phangan, Koh Tao. Um, yeah, they like a lot of reggae music and they smoke a lot of weed. And now weed is legal in Thailand too. So that adds a whole new character to Thai culture as a whole. I'm hoping that I'll be here for 420 next year because I mean I don't really consume weed like I used to, but it would be cool to experience what 420 is like in Thailand. Um, but in terms of my favorite islands, I don't really know. Um, Probably Koh Tao. Koh Tao is a really gorgeous one. Koh Tao, Koh Samui, and Koh Phangan are the three, major ones that a lot of people go to. Um, but they're also all pretty like they're party islands, so you pick your poison. You can avoid them pretty easily, but Koh Tao is a beautiful scuba diving. It's probably got some of the best scuba diving in Thailand.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, it's definitely their own. Every island has its own unique little thing, but they definitely share a more laid back uh, vibe, you could say. Um, and the islands in Thailand are just beautiful. I haven't been to the islands. I must say I've only explored the mainland, but super beautiful. And I have to get there when I go back to Thailand for sure. So Koh Tao, you said was one of your favorite islands, but I want to hop back to the mainland and Vietnam in general. You spent a month in Ho Chi Minh City. Talk about your experience there, the people, the nightlife, the food, and some things you didn't like and liked about the city.
Yeah, I was in Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City for this past March. Um, I I had some weddings to attend in the States, and yeah, I had some time to kill, so I had never been to Vietnam before, and it's one of those countries that gets thrown into the mix when talking about Southeast Asia. Um, and so I was just kind of like, screw it, like I want to go there. Like I like realized like, oh, I actually don't know anything about Vietnam, the culture, really much about the food at all. And yeah, I wanted to kind of like experience what it was like to like live there as opposed to like traveling there. And yeah, I was there for a month and I wasn't a big fan of it at all. Um, I know that I went about the trip in a very poor way. Um, so I would like to go back because there's some bucket list things that I want to do there, like explore the world's largest cave in Vietnam. But yeah, I basically just overextended myself, really tried to have this like really unique experience, get off the beaten track. And yeah, it was just a lot of poor planning. Like Ho Chi Minh City, there's not really anything going on there. And when I talk to people about going to Vietnam, specifically Ho Chi Minh City, everyone's reaction was always the same. Like, what? You're gonna be in Ho Chi Minh City for a month? Or like, you went to like, yo, 2 days is enough and get out of there. Like, there's nothing going on there. And there really isn't. Like, I mean, it is a big city. I think it's the biggest city in Vietnam. So you have that big city aspect of like a lot of food, and it has a really big nightlife scene. But I'm not trying to go party every single night, especially because it just drains money. And a lot of people think Southeast Asia is super cheap. It definitely can be in a lot of ways. But if you're going out to all these, nice nightclubs, you're still paying like American prices. You're paying like $15 a drink, which I'm not trying to do. And all of Southeast Asia, I'm pretty sure every club and bar just plays the same playlist of the worst music. But yeah, it just like wasn't my favorite thing ever. And the food, another aspect is like I went into the trip with a very preconceived idea of what it was going to be like, and it definitely wasn't. Like I was just um, pairing it with Thailand a lot, thinking that it was going to be very similar to Thailand, which it is in a lot of ways, but in more ways, it's a completely different, you know, country experience, culture, everything. And then the city, honestly, isn't the easiest to get around. It doesn't have any like subway or um, BTS or anything like that. So you're just doing motorbikes and taxis everywhere, and yeah, the food I wasn't super impressed with. The food was something that grew on me over time, but it is definitely a lot more simple flavors. compared to something like Thai food or Indian food, which is very bold flavors. Vietnamese food is very like simple, subtle flavors, and it was hard to get a really good bowl of pho, which was shocking. And don't get me wrong, like I didn't have anything bad. There wasn't any food that I was like, this is not good. Like I thoroughly enjoyed everything, but it wasn't like going to Asia where I was like, or going to Thailand where I'm like, every dish I'm like, damn, this is fire, this is fire, this is fire. But I will definitely go back and do a redemption trip and see what Vietnam really has to offer because Ho Chi Minh is not it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like it as much. It's one of my least favorite cities. I spent a few days there, but that's about it. And I think Hanoi is a much better city, much more soul, a lot better culture. It's just
Just
better
from
food.
seeing videos and photos of Hanoi, it seems like more my vibe as well.
As a city goes, yes, but you, I'm just like I'm about the countryside and small towns, and that's just like my thing. But and that was just a lot better for me in general in Vietnam. Just as far as the people, food, everything has more love to it. I feel like, and you know, a big city like Ho Chi Minh is more of a rat race. We both know that. Um, but it's still interesting that you got to experience it in that way and have that different lens of staying there for a longer period of time and figuring out that you don't some things that you do not like, you know. You're not in travel, you're never going to love everything or be comfortable all the time, and that's what I try to tell people as well. Sometimes you just won't like it, right?
You got to take the lows with the highs, and yeah, it was definitely a learning experience. Like there was a lot of aspects of it. Just like the whole planning of the trip, which was non-existent, was a learning lesson learned in and of itself.
Right? There's no failures. There's just lessons learned in my mind. Um, but in any case, you are building a legit travel brand from your photography, video edits, travel experiences. You are unique in every sense of that word. Where did that inspiration come from, and how would you tell someone who wants to get into building something like that? How would you go into learning the editing process and stuff? Not um, much less just the traveling, but just like the videoing. And what would you tell people on that end?
Um, well, I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm building a brand. It's really more just a part of my life at this point, more than it hasn't been, because it really all started when I got into photography, which was because of Instagram. I got Instagram, I think it was the year that it came out, downloaded it to use a filter for a wallpaper for my iPod Touch when I was 14 years old, 13 years old. And then back then it was poorly about photography. And, uh, it has your create account, you have suggested accounts to follow. And yeah, that's how I got exposed to photography. And it had such a very tight knit community for years. And everyone, yeah, we would all just like talk and collaborate, and learn from each other. Um, so from that sense, like branding, even though we didn't realize what we were doing, we were just enjoying ourselves and sharing our arts and passion. Um, yeah, it's been a part of my life for like 15 years, and it's been really weird to see Instagram evolve with where it started because now it's a completely different ball game. But I really just try to share my life and experiences, and I'm still figuring it all out. I really don't know what I want to do in terms of career. I've sacrificed a lot of different career opportunities, and yeah, I don't really know what I'm building or if I'm going to pursue it seriously. It's something that I question and trying to figure out on a daily basis. for years, especially with how fast social media is evolving on a daily basis. I'm just trying to find where I fit in the world, as we all are. Um, but I mean, I've worked as a photographer for years when I was younger, and yeah, in terms of just like branding, and it's really just finding something that you like to do and sticking with your style and just doing that repetitively. That's and that can fall into any type of business, whether it be, making food, doing photography, woodworking. It's all about doing something well and doing it over and over and over. And that's the same thing with, branding in any aspect, especially with like the modern day. Like you'll talk to millionaires, or maybe you won't, but you see people talk to millionaires, and at this point they're all saying the same thing. All these extremely wealthy people are saying, somebody with $1 billion and somebody with $10 both have the same opportunity to be successful because of social media. And it's really interesting that where we are in society, like anything is possible, which is crazy. Even like the little that I've done like blows my mind on a regular basis. Like, don't get me wrong, traveling, I get my lows. Even with like I've worked with some hotels this year, which is really, really cool. But at the same time, like you could be your own worst enemy. And I compare myself to people who have been doing it for a lot longer than me. And so because I'm not where they are, I bring myself down. But I have to recognize that I'm not there yet. Just give it time. They spent more time building up the skill sets. So yeah, it's really interesting because everyone has the same opportunity with social media at this point. So it's all about picking something that you like and staying consistent. And that's it.
I mean, that's some great advice. And you're very humble, but I and others look forward to looking at your video edits and your photos and what you're going to do next. Everyone, I know a lot of people, Sean, I talked to him the other day and we were talking about you. It's it's so cool what you're doing and the way you're doing it, man. Like I definitely look up to you for sure. And
I
and
appreciate it.
absolutely, man. And thank you for your advice. And but um movement, at one point in the United States, you converted a van, right? And you kind of lived the van life a little bit. Talk about that experience and what challenges you faced.
Yeah, I bought a van in 2017. Short roof cargo van, 4350. And yeah, I lived out of it for probably like a year and a half. Yeah, year and a half before I even started converting it. Bought it in Southern California. I had just gotten back to the States. I was living overseas for like a year, and I basically had it was a shell of a car, right? It was a shell of a van, and I had my hammock. I could set my hammock from corner to corner, and I'd sleep in my hammock, and then it was just camper setup with like a big cooler, and then I had some boxes of like camping gear and clothes and stuff like that. And I worked on a weed farm. I was a trimmer for a few months in Northern California. And me and my friend, we would have to leave the farm every now and then. So we would do mini road trips up and down the Pacific Northwest, which was super awesome. And then, yeah, I made some money and I was like, all right, like, it's time to build up this van. I was like, where am I going to build it? And then a couple of my best friends moved to Denver, Colorado. And one of them, he went to school for industrial design, and he had gotten into converting vans for a living, like helping people convert their vans. And I was like, all right, well, like I'm not tied down to any one location. So I called up my friends. I was like, yo, dudes, I'm coming to Colorado. So that's how I ended up in Colorado. Um, And yeah, he started. He was kind of my friend TJ. Shouts out Venture House in Evergreen, Colorado. Seeing that guy go from nothing to doing the craziest van conversions ever. Um, but he was kind of like a mentor in terms of building out my van. I really like the struggles of building it out was like everything. Like I had no idea what I was doing. And I ended up going back to Cincinnati for whatever reason. I think I just wanted to spend some time with my dad. So that's where I did a majority of the conversion, just out of his house. And it was literally with like a jigsaw from like the 90s and like a circular saw and a drill. And that was it. And so I was just kind of screwing two by fours together. Um, but it just kind of made it work. It was very DIY. Like you look at photos and videos of it, it's very just like raw, unfinished wood, very DIY. But the layout was super dope. Even TJ to this day was like, yeah, like the design of the layout was very modular and was one of the better ones that he's seen because a lot of vans just have a simple like standard bed on the back half, kitchenette. Like it's very just like one, two, three. Um, but my van had, yeah, kind of a unique setup. I had that van for a number of years, lived out of it, mainly in Denver, Colorado, and it was great, dude. It was a beast. I would take people out camping. That's to this day is one of my favorite things to do. Is like when people, especially in Colorado, I meet people who had just moved there, who have lived there for a while, and they had, not really spent time out in the mountains. Or I'd worked with people who are on J1 visas, and those are my favorites. To be like, oh, what? Like you've never been camping? You don't even know what s'mores are. Let me let me show you what America is like. Let me show you what the states are like. And I take them out camping, and it's just really crazy. And it goes back to that road trip with my brother, like the ease of access that we actually have to be able to experience some of the craziest things in the world is very accessible. Like I can be in Denver, Colorado and drive an hour up a dirt road and literally like camp essentially on the peak of a mountain and see the Milky Way, and it's insane. And that having that van, I got to show a lot of people that lifestyle, and I had it in Yellowstone in 2018. Oh, it was the best. It was the best. And then I sold it when I went back to Asia a few years ago, and then came back to the States and bought a Subaru Crosstrek, which I did a little camper conversion and lived in that for a year. And I've literally never slept better in my entire life. Like in the winter of last year, oh, dude, it would be literally like negative 13 degrees. And I had a 0-degree sleeping bag and a heated blanket in that car. Granted, I was also working 12-hour days, three jobs, 7 days a week. But oh my God, I slept like sometimes I dream about sleeping in that car again.
No, that's um, that speaks to resilience right there. Working that many hours. I mean, that's a resort town anyway, but that's cool that you were able to live out of the van for a while, build it up, and then sell it, and actually get to experience that, and and then experience and helping people experience the United States culture, because especially in the Rocky Mountain West, we're all about camping and all about being outdoors, and that's what it's all about. Um, and working in these different seasonal jobs exposes you to so many people from around the world, and getting to share that experience and connecting the world a little bit more, because we do have a lot of cool culture here in the United States. There's pros and cons everywhere, but um, it's just fun to be able to highlight and uh, show that side of it, and share that with people. It's very special. So you were in Colorado for a couple seasons, and you share love for winter sports like I do. I'm a skier. You love snowboarding. Talk about Colorado a bit, and where you worked and what you loved about it.
Yeah, so I was in Denver, Colorado on and off for 6 years. I got stuck there during COVID. That was like the big stint of it. My friend during COVID, my friend TJ had pointed out to me, he was like, "Hey man, like, this is the longest you've stayed in one spot since you've left Ohio." I was like, "Oh damn, that's right." And it was a year and a half at that point, uh, since 2020, COVID started, and I was just in Denver, Colorado for a year and a half. And prior to that, the longest I stayed in one spot in like 8 years was like 6 months, which was pretty insane to think about.
Damn, dude.
But yeah, really goes to show like how much I bounce around. And um, yeah, so Denver was home base on and off for 6 years. Um, I love Colorado as a whole. As time went on, I like when I first got to Denver, I was like, "Damn, this is the perfect city." Like I got to my friend's house in the middle of the night, and they're like, "Hey, like you're welcome to come tomorrow morning. I know you're sleepy, but we're gonna wake up and go to the mountains and go rock climbing." And I was like, "Well, how far is it?" They're like, "Probably 25-minute drive." I was like, "Aren't we 5 minutes from downtown?" They're like, "Yeah." I was like, "What? 5 minutes from downtown, and it's a 25-minute drive to the mountains? Like that's mind blowing." But as time went on, I learned that I really don't like Denver. I really dislike Denver as a whole. But I really just love Colorado. And yeah, there's just like Denver doesn't really have a whole lot to offer. It's just a big transplant city, a lot of white people, which is fine. And don't get me wrong, like there's aspects of Denver that I really love. I have some, big group of really close friends out there now. And but yeah, like people don't go to Denver for Denver. People go to Denver for Colorado. Like, you fly into Denver and you see Denver for a couple days, but you go to Colorado for Colorado. You go to the Rocky Mountains, you go to all the ski resorts, all that kind of stuff. Like working in restaurants there, we would have guests be like, "Hey, like we're in town for a couple of days. What should we do?" And we're like, "Oh, go to the mountains." They're like, "Yeah, we did that. We're just like in Denver. Like, what should we do?" And we're like, leave. Like nothing. Like if you like craft beer, there's a crazy amount of breweries, but outside that, there's the museums aren't great. You do have Meow Wolf, which is a trippy interactive art museum type thing, which is really cool. Um, but outside of that, yeah, it does have some really cool city parks, but I didn't start snowboarding there until a couple years ago, which was another like childhood dream come true. Because in the Midwest, we don't really have a lot of snowboarding. And I didn't know anyone snowboarding growing up or anything like that. But since I was like really young, I always knew that I wanted to try it. And like I would look at videos and I'm like, that makes sense to me. Like I look at that and I'm like, that makes sense. And it just looks so cool and so fun. Um, and it's kind of like an expensive thing to get into, and that's like a big excuse for a lot of people to not try snowboarding or skiing is it can be expensive, but it's also one of those things where it's once you get into it, it's just that initial cost, and then after that it's like pretty reasonable. But one of my good friends, Savannah, she was going out with a bunch of friends. She's like, "Hey, like you can come," and I borrowed a bunch of gear from TJ and went out, and it was all all skiers except for one snowboarder. And she's like, "Hey, I don't really like I'm not the best, but I'll try to teach you." And she didn't really help much, but I basically spent the whole first day just like eating shit nonstop. But I absolutely loved it. Like it's just like those little pockets of when you're cruising before you catch an edge, and smack into the ground. Um, yeah, it was amazing. And then the next year, that was at the end of one season. And so then the next year, somebody told me about the Keystone Pass, which is a ski pass specifically for Keystone Resort, which is about an hour and a half outside Denver, and it was only $300. I'm like, $300? That's super doable. For the whole season, I can go as much as I want. And so I got that, and then I bought a snowboard package. Somebody told me about this like discount website, so I bought all my gear, which was like $500, and I just went. I had a friend who had quit his job. I think he was in tech, and he had a bunch of money, no job, had just moved to Denver. So me and him would go almost like on the daily, and I just like fell in love with snowboarding, and then from there started going on international trips. Um, One of my friends from Ohio who started snowboarding again as an adult, he started joining me to Japan and Europe and stuff, and yeah, I absolutely love it. And it was funny because leaving um, Denver a couple years ago to go to Asia, one of my friend TJ was like, "Damn, dude, like I really thought snowboarding was going to keep you in Colorado because you love it so much." I was like, "I know, dude. It's crazy that I fell in love with snowboarding, and then I'm trying to move to a country where there is no snowboarding." But the logic there is Japan is pretty close, so you can snowboard there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you skied in Europe and Japan. Talk about your experience in the Alps.
Yeah, the Alps. We did a 2 week snowboard road trip. Me, my friend Joe, and my friend Bistro. We rented a camper van and road tripped around Europe. Um, that was literally earlier this year. It's so crazy. I've done so much this year, and like I think about these trips. Like you asked me about Vietnam, I'm like, oh yeah, Vietnam. Seems like it was like a couple years ago, and it was literally just months ago. Which I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, we were in Europe in January. We did 6 countries. The first day on the road trip, we were in Austria, and it literally like dumped snow for like 48 hours straight. It was incredible, dude. The terrain there was really cool. These ski resorts are very complicated in Europe, which like I thought it's very intimidating in the States. Like when I first started going to the ones in Colorado, they can get pretty confusing. Looking back on it now, I'm like, nah, the States is very like all the signs are pretty clear. In Europe, oh my God, it is so confusing. Like you can watch my videos that I have on YouTube about snowboarding in Europe. I did like a 6 part series, and yeah, we like lose each other constantly. They didn't buy cell service, so we couldn't it got messy pretty quick. But the terrain was incredible. The snow was absolutely insane. Um, France wasn't the best, but that's something that I learned from this road trip was when it comes to snowboarding, you really gotta get lucky. Like you can plan and plan and plan, but you just gotta have like weather has to be on your side because you'll see these videos of everywhere, including the States, of like this insane magical looking snowboarding or skiing at these resorts, whether it be, in Matterhorn in Switzerland or Park City in the States or Japan. It paints this idea that that's what it's like snowboarding there every day, all season. But in reality, it's like one day, a couple times a season, a couple times a year. And that was definitely something that we experienced in Europe because there was this dude that I know on social media, this kid Max, by chance happened to be doing almost the same exact trip as us just a week before us. It was him, his brother, and their friend. They rented a camper van from the same company and hit all the same countries we did. For snowboarding. But they were in France uh, a week before us or something like that. and I texted him when we were there, we hated France. One, the French people were just so rude. And two, the ski resorts there were all skied out and super iced over. They were the busiest ski resorts we had experienced in Europe by far. And yeah, it just was not fun snowboarding. And so we left and we went back to Italy. And I texted the dude. I was like, "Yo, dude, like, how'd you like France? Like, how'd you like Chamonix ski resort?" And he was like, "Oh my god, my favorite ski resort in the world. Like, that was the best." I was like, "What?" He's like, we were there for a week and we got dumped on every single day." And I was like, "Wow, we had the complete like bluebird sky, iced out runs." So it's completely different experiences, and it really just goes to show that even though we were there during, ideal peak season, we didn't get that experience, the same experience we got at like Austria. But Matterhorn was probably my favorite resort in Europe. Um, we also Matterhorn, that resort is just absolutely massive. But we had found this one area for whatever reason, everyone was just going down the groomed runs, and we had found this area of just untouched powder, and it was like some of the most magical snowboarding I've ever experienced. And it's the first time that we all experienced pillows, which is essentially, a big boulder where snow has accumulated and you just like fly off. And it was essentially just like a boulder field on top of this mountain of untouched, pillowy snow. And we just hit that over and over and over and over. And it was insane.
Dude, that's incredible when you get that perfect powder day, like, and you're with your friends too. Like, I don't think anything beats it, you know? You could be by yourself and have an even more epic powder day, but nothing beats being with your friends and enjoying that together. And especially doing a road trip like you did with your friends is something super special. And doing
Yeah.
it doing it in the Alps too. Come on, that's incredible. What I want to ask, what was the camper van company that you used, and that if someone was interested, they could look into?
What was it called? We ended up having issues, not really with the van. They kind of have like a monopoly on vans in Europe. They're like the largest van company in the world. Um, what the heck was it called? Nomad vans, or I can't remember. You'll see them in the States too.
Oh,
But yeah,
the Auto
they
Barns? Is
rent.
it like the Traveler's Auto Barn or something like that? I know I see those a lot around. I'm not sure.
No, I think their logo has like almost looks like old school 70s with orange and
Yeah,
something
yeah, I've
like
seen
that.
those. I've seen those around the States too.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It's
I'm
got
sure.
like an orange stripe on the side or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I'm sure people will be able to find it if they just look into it. But that's an incredible trip. Um, and I would love. I've only been to the Alps in the summer, but I would love to experience skiing in the Alps, and kind of the culture of a ton of like it's just a ton of like gondolas, and you can ski to different cities in some of these places. I mean, it's just a totally
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, in
Love it.
Switzerland you can go to Italy
See, that's
from one
incredible.
resort to the other side, yeah.
So you're going through, yeah, I mean, you're going through countries, like that's how old it is, and that's how like advanced they've gotten, like
It's speaking on that, there's this really I can't remember the name of the town, but in Italy, there's this town in the mountains, like deep in the Alps, small ski town, and it's a really unique area because it has like three cultures um, that are basically just like jammed into this small little ski town because it used to be under like Austrian control, and Italy like took it over, and it just has a crazy history. And there's a local language that's only spoken in that, if I'm not mistaken. And then because it has this, it used to be controlled by Austria. It has German. A lot of people speak German, and now because it's an Italian town, you have Italian speakers, and because it's Europe, everyone speaks English too. So you have this crazy, history and cultures clashing, and it's super interesting, super cool. The coolest ski town I've ever heard of, for sure.
That's man, that's incredible. What what was that? I'm sorry, I might have missed it, but what was that called? What was that town called? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't remember. I want to say it was something with like an A.
No worries, no worries. We'll figure it out and put it down below. Um, so your snowboarding took you to Japan also. Talk about that experience. Did you get that Japanese powder that's legendary?
Yeah, so Japan was another one of like my biggest bucket list um, items, was to just visit Japan. And then I started snowboarding and was like, oh, I gotta go to this pow pow in Japan. So me and my same couple guys, Joe and Bistro, we went out to Japan. And this was Joe. Joe lives in Guam. He's an adopted islander. So he had never snowboarded before this trip, and he was like, it was one of those things too, where he's like, "Yeah, I've always wanted to try it." And he was just like, "Screw it, I'm gonna go out, figure it out." I had picked up snowboarding really quick, but Joe literally was like going off jumps on his first day. Like, it was crazy how quick he picked it up. And I think it's because he spent years longboarding growing up, and a lot of people say if you skateboard, you can snowboard really easily, which I disagree, because skateboarding and snowboarding are completely different movements, but longboarding and snowboarding are the exact same movements. So that's why I think he picked it up so easily. Um, our first year, we went last year, and I can't remember. I had scheduling issues, so I had to push the trip back. So we ended up going in late fall, or I'm sorry, February. Um, and I learned that the snowboarding season in Japan is pretty short compared to the States. Like, you can be in Colorado snowboarding from November to June. There, it's pretty much December to end of February. That's pretty much it. Um, so we got out there, and it was essentially like spring snowboarding. Obviously you had like a lot of like base snow there, but it was slushy because it was warm out every day. And we had gone to two different areas. One that's like more south on the main island, and then we flew up to Niseko, which is up on the north in the island of Hokkaido, and that's where the snowiest town in the world is, and that's where the powder's at. And we got really lucky on the first day. There was just a late spring storm, so we got to experience. It was just, yeah, just powdery Japan powder that whole day. So it was really awesome. And then this past January, after Europe, we went to Japan with Bistro and a handful of other friends, and we were up in Niseko for like a week. And yeah, it was just great weather, great snow. We didn't really get like crazy dumped on, uh, but the snow was just already really good. And yeah, the best snowboarding I've had was definitely in Canada at, what was it, Sunshine Resort, Banff Sunshine Resort, I believe it's called. And that resort is just huge. The terrain's super cool, and I got really lucky with the snow there. It snowed for 24 hours, and yeah, it was incredible. The terrain's amazing there. Everything's so wide and open. Um, the resorts, Japan's incredible too. I think in the future, I really want to do some like backcountry. That's what I've learned the past couple years going to Japan, is like that's where like Japan really excels is backcountry powder, like getting out of the resort. But that you really have to know what you're doing because Japan's prone to a lot of avalanches and stuff because you have that really nice soft powder.
Yeah, you have to know what you're doing because you can get depending on the slope angle too can be more dangerous, but if the slope angle's all right, then you can be more secure in doing that. But yeah, you have to pay attention. You have to go to classes for that, take some Abbey classes. Um, it's very important because a lot of even so-called, experts get killed in the Rocky Mountains or in the entire world every year. So it's people that you look up to in that field and they're dying and you're like, well, shit. Like,
Yeah, I don't want to do this.
yeah, I just recently started
Stick to
going for it.
groomers.
um, more or less, you can get out there and do some stuff, but it's just stay safe, just be safe and go with people and have a buddy system. Don't go alone in the backcountry. There's certain things certain rules you have to follow, you know.
Hmm.
And but man, you've been bouncing around all year, dude. Like you've been all over the place and it's so cool just to look like I'm like, where is Connor gonna be next, man? Like I I'm like, shit, like dude is like everywhere, man. Even you were even just in Peru with your dad. So
Yeah,
you just went to Machu Picchu and explored Machu Picchu.
yeah, that was a big bucket list trip too. That was also like another trip that really blew my mind was purely the cuisine because I was completely unaware of specifically Peruvian cuisine, but the like food culture in Peru. Like it still I'm just like flabbergasted. Like the best restaurants in the entire world are in all in Peru.
Yeah, no, the cuisine is the best in South America for sure, and then they have some of the best restaurants in the world, and the best restaurant in Central in Lima. And I got to go to Yole, their sister restaurant, and it's connected to Central, and it's also one of the best in the world. And what they're doing with these ingredients from the Amazon are just incredibly unique and different flavor profiles blended together, and it takes them, an extended amount of time just to come up with the 9-course menu that I had, and I know it took them months and months to, come up with that, and a few chefs, and I believe it's the same chefs with Central, because it's the same kitchen. But I mean, it's incredible, man. The lomo saltado, pollo a la brasa, the ceviche, the buffet criollos. There's so many different things you can have there, and it's all fresh and um and good ingredients, man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it absolutely blew my mind. Like going into it, not knowing that almost made it like a better experience. But yeah, it's crazy. Like I still say like Thai food is my favorite. Like um people are like yeah, because everyone always asks like what's your favorite country or like what's your favorite place that you've been to? And I can't give like one answer to that. Of course, Thailand's like a second home to me. I'll say like Thai food is the best food in the world. Peru, best restaurants in the world. Egypt was like the craziest place I've been to, most overwhelming. Canada, most beautiful. Now Palau. Palau's up there. I was just in Palau like 2 weeks ago, and that trip just absolutely blew my mind. Like opened up a whole new universe to me. But yeah, I think it was like 17 countries this year or something like that.
Wow, man. That's insane, man. Um and what what's the future hold for you? What do you want to do? I know you're in Thailand now, but do you have any I know you have plans, but what do they look like? What's in the future for you, Connor?
Yeah, that's something that I've been trying to figure out for 30 years. Um, right now, like I came back to the States, I would have stayed here, or I'm sorry, I came back to Asia. I would have stayed here. if I didn't have weddings that I wanted to prioritize. So that's why I went back to the States for short stints this year. And um, yeah, now I came back to Thailand with the intent to work with hotels doing photography and videography and to teach English. Um, but it's always evolving with me. Like I've probably come to Thailand like 5 times with the intent to teach English, and I never do for, many different reasons. But now my friends in Thailand are kind of convincing me like don't teach English because it's harder to make. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't live up to like what I want my lifestyle to look like in the future. Like I just wouldn't be able to have a high enough paying career in that field, longevity wise. So yeah, I don't really know, and I could pursue the hotel creation, photography and content creation more seriously. But the more I do it, I don't know. I just kind of like talk myself out of it. One of my good friends on Instagram, this guy Josh, he is somebody that I've looked up to over the years. And last year, he actually reached out to me and was essentially like, "Hey, like I want to be a mentor to you and a source of knowledge for you," because he has his own marketing company and he's based out of Colombia now. Um, and he was very much like you said earlier. Like there's people who are um, aware of me, excited about what I do and post and share and stuff like that. And he was like, "Yeah, dude, like I'm living vicariously through you. I love the stuff that you're putting out. I want to help you do more." And yeah, he's been a help over the past year. But I don't really know. Like I love the YouTube stuff is something that I've wanted to do since I was a teenager, and I always just gave myself excuses, waiting for things to be perfect or waiting for people to help me type thing. But it's never going to happen unless you don't start doing it. So I started doing the YouTube stuff like 2 years ago, and um, I've definitely it's been really cool because I know I haven't put out the quality of videos that I would like to put out, but it's also I've looked at it as like a learning process and more as a passion project and an archive of my adventures and trips and stuff. And I'm starting to kind of narrow in on what style of videos I want to post in the future there. Which this Palau trip that I was just on, I visited some friends there, and I got a couple of videos coming from that trip about life on Palau because before living in Micronesia, I didn't know what Palau was. Most people that I talk to don't know what Palau is. They've never heard of it. So yeah, I got some cool videos coming out about that, and I would love to make that more of a serious thing in the future. Um, but yeah, in the foreseeable future right now, like I'm in Thailand, I am kind of trying to figure out what is available for me in Thailand right now, and I'm trying to start setting up roots in Thailand so that I can have this be one of my home bases, and then I will go back to the States and figure out setting up a home base in the States. And long term, my goal is to be able to go back and forth from Thailand and America. So that way, like I said earlier, I'll be able to more easily travel, Asia and, both sides of the world. And in terms of like career and stuff, who really knows? I got a crazy resume, more than most people. I know I have a lot of different options and opportunities that I can pursue seriously. And recently, more opportunities started to appear in Palau, which I'm really excited about and something I need to think about. And yeah, I don't know. I always know that I have a lot of backups. Even if I want to, like I can just go work seasonal jobs for the rest of my life and be totally, completely happy doing that. Like working in some of the most beautiful places in the world and then getting to spend the second half of the year traveling to the most beautiful places in the world. It's kind of hard to beat that. So there's always options, and as long as I'm doing stuff that makes me happy, life is good.
I would say so, man. Your life is incredible, and the sky's the limit for you. You have unlimited potential, and I look forward to seeing what you do next, as many others do. I've said that already, but
Appreciate it.
it's very true. What I wanted to ask you lastly, if you could leave the listeners with some advice, travel or in general, what would that be?
Life is all about perspective. You can look at any situation in a positive or negative light. Uh, you you can't dwell on things. So this year alone, yeah, I've gotten to travel to about 17 countries. Um, I spent majority of this year technically not working, not having a job to clock into, but I've also been putting in a lot of hours trying to figure out myself and my own personal endeavors. So it's a different type of work. Like a lot of people, everyone always kind of sees the what's on the surface levels. They don't know what goes on behind closed doors. So yeah, just like recognize that there's you got to put in the work, and it's all about perspective. Like if you can put in the work and you don't see anything, you don't see any results, you got to have that perspective of like keep putting in the work, positive mindset. This year alone, I probably lost about 5 grand in things going wrong on my travels, which hurts my soul to think that I could have an extra 5 grand right now, which sounds sweet. But I can also, not really worry about it, because if it's out of your control, it's out of your control. And if you worry about it, that's just going to be a domino effect on the rest of yourself, your mental, and your plans in a negative way. So you just got to keep that perspective and be able to take a step back and look at what you're doing, or look at what people are doing around you. And yeah, perspective has given me a lot of life lessons, and the the ability to do what I want to do. Like a lot of things have come from being able to look at that perspective. Even just like going on that road trip with my brother gave me a whole new perspective on traveling, or like my surroundings. Like I probably, who knows, if I didn't go on that road trip, I could be sitting in Cincinnati, Ohio, hating Ohio. But because I learned that perspective, it gave me a whole new light in the world, and anything's possible.
Yeah, I mean, that's great advice, man. It's all about perspective and getting out there and trying new things. I think that speaks to both of us. We're willing to try new things, and I love getting to explore and travel, and I'm grateful for every opportunity, as I'm sure you are. What is your what is your YouTube and what is your Instagram? Instagram's New Connor Explores. We're gonna plug all this down, but tell about your YouTube as well.
YouTube is New Connor. If you look up New Connor Explorers, it'll pop up as well. Travel channel, just exploring and stuff. Um, Starting to get offbeat, uh, kind of more interview style travel videos. New Connor Explorers Instagram. Like I said, I had that for like 15 years. I don't think I've deleted a photo on there. So if you want to see 15 plus years of my journey in photography and travels and stuff, you can check it all out there. CONOR Explorers, TikTok New Connor Explorers. Um, yeah, I just be traveling, trying things. If you guys are out there, you want to collab, let me know. Um, yeah, you never know where I'm going to be. Might be linking up with this uh, jewelry grill maker from Australia who's in Bangkok. We were chatting this morning, and she's in Thailand while I speak. So who knows? The opportunities are out there.
They're all over the place. And I appreciate you coming on. And I would implore everyone to go and check out your stuff, subscribe, because anyone, even if you're not a big traveler, it's just very entertaining stuff, especially that video you did with Norman and in Alabama. And
Oh, dude,
dude,
that video
incredible.
that was so good. Like literally one of my favorite. That was after coming back from Europe, Japan, Vietnam, and that was probably the highlight of my year up to that point. It was going to a small town in the middle of nowhere, Alabama. Was the highlight of my year. That speaks volumes to getting together with that fool.
Yeah, and it's Norman, he's definitely, if you know Norman, you love Norman because he is just a larger than life figure, and if you are around him, he's there from a mile away.
Mhm.
He's gonna be singing the Beatles one second, then he's gonna be talking about traveling the world the next second. I don't know. He's very
Yeah,
random and he's very interesting guy.
he's a character. He's a character, smart, redneck, ginger.
That's a great summary of old Norman. Well, thank you, man. Appreciate you, Connor. And you personify like being a unique and good person. Always have a smile on your face.
I
Time I've
appreciate
seen
it.
you,
Yeah,
you're
I
always
try. I
laughing.
try.
Yeah, you're just fun to be around, and I'm so happy and lucky to have you on here.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's always a good time to. It's just conversations that you and I would be having with people on a regular basis. So I'm excited that you had me on here to share it with everyone else.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of your night because I know it's night there and it's morning here.
Yeah.
Always remember, folks, the world is your oyster. That's a wrap on this episode of People, Places, and Things. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Whether you're dreaming of your next adventure or just love hearing stories from across the globe, we hope we inspired a bit of wanderlust in you today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with fellow travelers. Until next time, keep exploring, keep dreaming, keep discovering new people, places, and things.